Hey everyone, this is Kyle from Laughing Place, and you're watching Laughing Place on location from Gen Con 2025. So if you're not familiar with Gen Con, it's a huge tabletop gaming convention, and it actually stands for Geneva Convention, but as in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, even though it now takes place in Indianapolis, it's a little confusing. Anyway, this is my third Gen Con, and that's because 2 years ago, Disney Lorcana launched right here at this convention and made a huge impact with massive lines and lots of excitement. And in fact, to start my Gen Con 2025, I'll be headed to a panel celebrating the 2-year anniversary of Disney Lorcana, which promises some great announcements and surprises. Unfortunately, we can't film, but I'll give you a quick recap of what we learned. To start with what I thought was the biggest announcement to come out of the event, a Disney Lorcana Collector's Challenge will be coming to Disney California Adventure. This will arrive on August 29th with the release of Fabled at the park. Believe it or not, guests will actually be able to claim a free Fabled booster pack with this challenge, and then they'll go around and try to collect 4 specific cards, and once they do that, they'll get a special promo card when they return to off the page and get their thing checked off. This sounds really cool, and yes, I am honestly surprised that it's going to be free. Speaking of Fabled, we got to look at some new cards, which the biggest, of course, being from a Goofy movie, which was already announced to be part of this set, but we got some specific looks at some new cards, including songs for Stand Out and Eye to Eye, and then a very cool Floodborne version of Powerline designed by Nicholas Cole, and they showed a really awesome and kind of emotional video about the making of this card as part of the presentation. So they shared it on their Instagram. I'd recommend checking it out. From there, we also got a sneak peek at the next set, Whispers in the Well, which will feature detectives as they try to figure out what these whispers are all about. And we'll also see gargoyles join the game in that set. Heading into 2026, we got the name for that first set of the new year, and that will be Winter Spell. And then it'll introduce Angel from Lilo & Stitch the series for the first time, and here we see a pretty cool image of a snowboarding Stitch. Last but not least, we already knew that Pixar was going to be joining Lorcana in 2026, but now we know that that will happen in Q2, at least with Woody and Buzz as they were teased for whatever set comes after Winter Spell. And I almost forgot, there's also going to be Disney Lorcana puzzles on the way. There's going to be 6 in total. 2 of them will be exclusive to Disney Parks as well as Disney Store. And these first 6 puzzles are inspired by these 6 ink colors of the game. But beyond the news, there was also just a great panel about the impact that Lorcana has had so far. And then there was a Q&A session, although I will say that because the people involved with the game are allowed to talk about the future, there were a lot of what they call Bruno questions, meaning we couldn't talk about them. But all in all, it was a fun 2 hours or so and a great celebration for Lorcana's 2nd anniversary.
So tonight I'm headed off to a private Ravensburger event where they're going to be doing a collector's quest, kind of like, as I said, they're going to be having in DCA. I have a feeling it's going to be a little bit different, but it'll give me a better idea of how that's going to work. So I'm really looking forward to that and meeting some other media and Lorcana creators. So let's head on over.
So sure enough, our quest was a bit different, but they did tell me what those differences would be. For our quest, we needed to collect 6 cards, whereas in DCA it'll only be 4. And rather than getting them on a page, there'll be a special little cardboard book thing that guests will have at DCA apparently. But the core idea remains the same. You open your booster pack, see what you have, and then try to trade with other guests so that you can all complete your quests. Anyway, it was a fun time, and I'm sure guests will enjoy it when this comes to California Adventure while supplies last, starting August 29th. All right, well, welcome to day 2 of Gen Con 2025, and today, my day is mostly going to be about Disney Villainous, the game from Ravensburger. First, I'm going to go check out their new edition, which is called Disney Villainous Unstoppable, which has more of a regular board game feel, a little bit different from the previous releases of Villainous, so I'm excited to check that out. And then I'm going to be going to the 3rd annual Disney Villainous tournament. I've been to the first 2, and incidentally, the same guy won it both years. So 1, I'm excited to see if he's going to play at all. 2, I wonder if he's going to have a chance to three-peat. And 3, I wonder if it'll go better for him than it did the Chiefs if he does get to that point. So before heading over to the tournament, I did have a chance to stop by the Ravensburger booth and get to play some Disney Villainous Unstoppable for myself. Admittedly, I've never really played any of the regular Villainous, But watching them play during the tournament, it definitely seems a little advanced for me, so I appreciated this board game version and like that each villain had their own different take on a quest that employed some different media. I'm also happy to say that I managed to win our little demo, so I guess I was decent at it, but they also started us about halfway through the game, so I can't say that this would have been the result if we played for realsies. But after this playtime, it was off to the tournament.
So now we're at the third annual Gen Con Villainous tournament, and I don't know my friend Danny, who's been here the whole time.
I've been here the whole time.
Catch you up on what's happened so far.
Hey y'all, it's Danny, and we are at the third annual Villainous tournament at Gen Con. So right now we have the finals going on right behind us. However, to get to this point, these players had to go through round one of a 32-person bracket. We played with the Intro to Evil characters from Disney Villainous, including Maleficent, Ursula, we had Prince John, and we had Captain Hook. Then we introduced a secret round two called Sweet, Stylish, and Shiny, which introduced one of our newest characters from Disney Villainous Treacherous Tides, Tamatoa, along with last year's villain, King Candy, and we had Cruella de Vil, the stylish part, and of course the Evil Queen. Now we have entered the final round, round three, and somehow we have three pirates with us, two of which are named Andrew, and one of which is Mike Mulvihill, one of the main developers for Disney Villainous. So hopefully we'll follow up and we'll see who takes the pirate crown. We'll see.
It's the worst. It's mine. It's finally mine. I am simply the worst.
So as you saw there was some overthrowing as one Andrew defeated another Andrew and one of the designers of the game to take home the crown of the worst for Villainous at this Gen Con. So I guess it did turn out like the Kansas City Chiefs, but the other Andrew didn't lose by that much at least.
With those goals accomplished, now let's go take a look at some of the other aspects of Gen Con and check out Indianapolis itself.
So one of the best things about Indianapolis, and one of the big reasons that events like the NFL Combine are here, is because of the skywalk that they have here that connects a lot of downtown hotels to not just the convention center, but all the way over to Lucas Oil Stadium. It's really cool. You never have to step outside, and you can even access the mall. And this is the Arts Garden, where I am, right outside of the Conrad here. That'll lead you right to the skywalk.
In my opinion, one of the coolest parts of Gen Con is that it actually extends to Lucas Oil Stadium, which, as I mentioned, connects right from the convention center. Along the walk, you'll have lots of cool vendors that you can check out that aren't really games, but also art and other fun things. And then once you get in here, you can go down to where the field would be. There's all sorts of activities down there, or you can just choose a seat like I have and hang out, enjoy the air conditioning, and take in all of this NFL stadiumness, including checking out the Colts banners. There's some little museum artifacts and things like that. It's just really cool. So if you come to Gen Con, be sure to make your way over to Lucas Oil and either explore what's down on the field or just hang out like I am doing. If you need a break from the con, I found my favorite coffee place in the area, Coat Check Coffee. It's on Mass in Michigan, so it's a little bit of a walk from the convention. Specifically, I think they have really interesting lattes and a really cool vibe, so recommend taking a break, coming over here. You won't regret it. Not sponsored.
So despite this being my third ever Gen Con, I have somehow stumbled upon a part of the show that I didn't know existed, and that is over at the Westin Hotel. And what's brought me over here is a documentary screening. It's a movie about Magic the Gathering, so it should be pretty interesting. But yeah, I didn't even know there was stuff over here. Confusingly, the ballroom we're in is called Capitol, and there's a Capitol Hall over at the convention center, but I was able to find it, got plenty of time, and I decided to check out the movie.
I just got back from the screening of Igniting the Spark, and I really enjoyed it. I had a question going in wondering, as someone who doesn't really know a lot about Magic the Gathering, how much you would need to know in order to get the movie. And this is actually something that the directors of the film talked about afterwards in a Q&A, how they wanted to include some of the very basic rules just so you could understand the rest of the story, but then not include everything that would bog it down. And then of course, if you already play Magic, then you already know all those things, so you don't need them explained to you, and you're not going to be upset that they're left out. So I think they did a really good job at walking that line. But really, the movie is just about the really early days of Wizards of the Coast and kind of how they created this sensation and how it changed a lot of people's lives. And there's a bit of a Disney connection because Elaine Chase, who appears in the movie because she used to work at Wizards, now is at Ravensburger working on Lorcana. So it was cool to see her in the movie as well. By the time you see this video, my review will already be up on Laughing Place, so you can go read that. And the movie will be available on video on demand, so go and check it out. I think it's really interesting, even if you know nothing about Magic. Just a great story and a lot of fun. All right, so it's the last day of Gen Con 2025. I'm headed over right now to check out the show floor one last time. And hopefully Lorcana will have the rest of their cards up. I think they had 1 or 2 when I was last there. They should have a few more now. But I'm also just curious to look around and check everything out for the final time this year. So let's take a look.
By the way, I would love to show you all more of the show floor itself, but it is so incredibly packed all the time that you would just be staring at people's backs, maybe even running into them. So people want to see these games and they're being demoed and stuff. It's not something you can just quickly walk by. You kind of want to get drawn in, but by people stopping, then it just causes these bottlenecks and things like that. But it's a lot of fun. I recommend coming right before the show floor closes, like maybe a half hour before. Some of the best games might be sold out, but at least you can explore and maybe you set a plan for what you want to do the following day. I said best games, but I really mean new games. A lot of places will release new games here that might be on pre-order, not quite out yet, but you can get them here first. And they usually restock their supply each morning. So that's why I'm saying, like, you can go around and check them out and see what you might want to buy the next morning, and then you can get here early, go straight for that booth, try to get your game, and then do whatever the rest of the day.
While we're talking tips, one thing I didn't realize when I first attended Gen Con is that a lot of the events actually require tickets. Some are free and some are paid, but you will need them for a lot of different activities. For example, you'll see that a lot of the different brands have their own rooms, and these are typically used for different offerings. So while it was nice that I could step inside this Marvel roleplay room and take a look around, if I actually wanted to participate, I would need to have a ticket. So if you do plan on attending Gen Con, I definitely say to keep an eye out for when the schedule drops so you can make sure that you can do everything you want to do. Even with the show floor being busy, I still always end up buying stuff at Gen Con. So I figured I'd show you off what I got. So first of all, I got this awesome tea themed to the TVA from Loki. Excited about that, from the Tea and Absinthe Company. I didn't buy the absinthe, just the tea. Next, I have this awesome looking puzzle box themed to Davy Jones' locker. It seems very intricate and awesome. I am looking forward to attempting to solve this, and hopefully I can finish it. And then lastly, as I mentioned, sometimes some companies will have new games here, and one of those is from Direwolf, the new game Lightning Train, which my brother-in-law, who is a huge board game fan, told me that he wanted, so I was able to go and get that for him by getting to the hall early in the morning, getting in line. I was the 85th person on Saturday, which I think was their last day of restocking, so very excited to get this for him and send it out to Portland. And that's it for Gen Con 2025. I was going to record this outro before I left Indianapolis, but it was 4:30 in the morning and I definitely forgot. But overall, I had a great time once again. I've actually come to appreciate the convention more as I've understood it more and how it works over the past 3 years, and I'm definitely looking forward to going back to Indianapolis again next year. In the meantime, be sure to come back next week for another LP on location when Mike will be at Disney California Adventure for the Disney Junior Let's Play event. So thanks for joining me on my Gen Con adventure, and I'll see you next time.